I am a serial entrepreneur. That's not a typo. Not an S-E-R-I-A-L entrepreneur. A C-E-R-E-A-L entrepreneur. Like the stuff you eat for breakfast. That was the title a young man, drowning in over $30,000 of credit card debt, gave himself. He wasn't building a tech empire. He was hot gluing cardboard boxes and selling them for $40 a pop to stay afloat. He was a joke. But here's the question that will follow us through this entire journey. The question that haunts the sanitized billion-dollar success story we all think we know. How does a man whose greatest business achievement was selling breakfast cereal end up teaching the entire world how to trust a stranger with the keys to their home? The man behind that absurd title is Brian Chesky. Today, you know him as the co-founder and CEO of Airbnb, a company that has housed over 1 billion guests, operates in almost every country on Earth, and is valued at nearly $100 billion. He's a titan of industry, a visionary who fundamentally re-engineered the travel and hospitality landscape. His success is, by all measures, staggering. We read the articles. We see the headlines. Designer disrupts hotel industry. Tech unicorn changes how we travel. We're told the story of a brilliant idea, a seamless app, and exponential growth. We're sold a clean, linear narrative of success. But that narrative is a lie. The real story, the one that matters, isn't about $100 billion. It's not about algorithms or funding rounds. The real story is about 3 air mattresses on a hardwood floor in a San Francisco apartment. It's about the crushing weight of impending failure. And it's about 3 complete strangers who would decide the fate of this empire before it even existed. So, here is our big question for today. What if the key to building a global platform of trust wasn't found in a pitch deck, but in the awkward, terrifying, and profoundly human moment of handing your house keys to a stranger for the first time? What if the secret to wealth creation on a massive scale had nothing to do with money and everything to do with vulnerability? Forget the IPO. Forget the magazine covers. I want to take you back to a loft apartment on Rausch Street, San Francisco, in the fall of 2007. There's no team of engineers. There's no marketing department. There are just 2 guys, Brian and his roommate Joe Gebbia, who can't make rent. The landlord's letter is a physical manifestation of their failure. The air is thick with the smell of instant noodles and quiet desperation. This is the peak of their pain. It's not a dramatic, movie-like crisis. It's the slow, grinding erosion of hope. The daily anxiety that tightens your chest when you check a bank account that's already in the red. The shame of being in your late 20s, with a prestigious design degree, and being completely, utterly broke. This is where most dreams die. Their big idea, their solution was a website. A clunky, barely functional website called Airbed and Breakfast. They noticed a big design conference was coming to town, and all the hotels were sold out. Their plan? Rent out 3 air mattresses on their floor for $80 a night. Now, let's analyze the critical, catastrophic decision they made in this moment. It wasn't about the website's bad code or the ugly logo. Their single biggest mistake was believing that a website could solve a human problem. They thought they were in the business of accommodation. They put up a listing, and for a long time, crickets. Silence. Nobody was booking, because they hadn't yet identified the real enemy. This wasn't a business problem, it was a cultural one. Their true adversary, the invisible monster in the room, was a ghost that lives inside all of us. Let's call it the ghost of stranger danger. It's the voice your parents programmed into you since childhood. Don't talk to strangers. Don't get in a stranger's car. Never, ever, go into a stranger's house. This ghost is ancient, powerful, and deeply embedded in our collective psyche. And here were 2 broke guys with a crappy website trying to fight it. They weren't just selling a room. They were trying to sell the world on an idea that violated our most primal survival instincts. The loneliness of that moment must have been immense. You're not just failing. You're failing at something everyone thinks is insane. This wasn't just a startup. It was a social experiment that everyone expected to explode in the worst possible way. That required them to stay hard, to endure the ridicule. And then, they got a bite. 3 people. A 30-year-old woman from India, a 5-year-old father of 4 from Utah, and a 5-year-old man from Boston. The money was a relief, but the fear was paralyzing. The ghost of stranger danger was screaming in their ears. What if they steal from you? What if they hurt you? What if this is a terrible, terrible mistake? And here lies the first counterintuitive lesson. The conventional wisdom for any entrepreneur is scale fast. Automate everything. Remove the friction. The lesson from Rausch Street is the exact opposite. To build something massive, you must first do things that don't scale at all. The solution wasn't a better website. It wasn't an algorithm. It was Brian and Joe deciding to be hosts, not just landlords. They decided to face the ghost of stranger danger head on, not with code, but with humanity. The secret wasn't in the transaction, it was in the connection. Now let's rewind. Let's go back to the source code of Brian Chesky's thinking. He wasn't a business major. He wasn't a programmer. He was a graduate of the Rhode Island School of Design. This is the crucial detail. His entire philosophy was shaped by design thinking, which is, at its core, the practice of empathy. While a business student asks, how can we maximize profit? A designer asks, what is the user feeling at this exact moment? When those first 3 guests arrived, Brian wasn't thinking about customer acquisition cost. He was thinking, is the air mattress inflated enough? Do they know where the bathroom is? Do they feel welcome? Or do they feel like a commodity? He personally showed them around the city. They didn't just rent a space. They shared a life for a weekend. They built a micro-community. This is the purpose-driven mindset that separates the good from the great. It wasn't about financial planning. It was about human planning. This approach, this focus on the human experience, became the core DNA of Airbnb. It was never about renting houses. It was about the feeling of belonging anywhere. This is the kind of clarity that builds empires. But let's not deify him. Here's where we apply the flaw illumination technique. Brian's strength, his obsession with the user experience, is also his weakness. Insiders talk about his obsessive, almost maniacal focus on the smallest details. He would personally review listings, agonizing over the quality of photos. He'd get stuck on the curvature of a button in the app. This perfectionism, this inability to let go of the minute details, can be paralyzing for a fast-growing company. He still struggles with it. He's not a detached, big-picture CEO. He is a hands-on, obsessive host who happens to be running a global corporation. It makes him frustrating. It makes him brilliant. And it makes him human. It's a part of his personal development journey, learning to trust his team the way he taught us to trust strangers. This kind of self-development is a lifelong process. So how can we, who aren't building a $100 billion company, apply this? We can distill Brian's unique philosophy into a simple, actionable framework. Let's call it the host's mindset. It's not about business. It's about how you approach any significant interaction in your life. It has 3 steps. Define the core human moment. In any goal you have, whether it's getting a job, leading a team, or even building a friendship, identify the single most critical point of human connection. For Airbnb, it was the key exchange. For you, it might be the first 5 minutes of a job interview, or the way you greet your team in the morning. Design for trust, not transaction. Optimize that moment for genuine human connection, not just efficiency. Don't just ask, "How are you?" as a formality. Ask, and then actually listen. Share a small, authentic detail about yourself. In a world desperate for efficiency, a moment of real connection is a superpower. It requires high emotional intelligence. Scale the feeling. Once you've perfected that micro-interaction, find ways to embed that feeling into the entire system. Airbnb did it with profiles, reviews, and messaging, all designed to replicate the trust of that first weekend. For you, it means making that initial feeling of trust and respect the foundation of your entire relationship or project. This isn't just about motivation. It's about creating an environment where an abundance mindset can flourish. It requires daily discipline. Let's go back to where we started. That absurd statement, "I am a serial entrepreneur." It's easy to laugh at it now, to see it as a funny anecdote of desperation on the road to glory. But we've been looking at it all wrong. The serial wasn't a separate, failed idea. It was the same idea as Airbnb, just with a different product. Think about it. During the 2008 election, they were still broke. They saw an opportunity. They designed 2 limited edition cereal boxes, Obama O's, The Breakfast of Change, and Cap'n McCain's, a maverick in every bite. They bought bulk cereal, folded the boxes by hand in their apartment, and sold them for $40 each at convention parties. They made $30,000. It saved their company. It wasn't about the cereal. Just like it was never about the air mattress. It was about creating a unique, memorable experience that connected people to a story. The cereal box wasn't a product. It was a souvenir, a conversation starter, an artifact of a moment in time. It was a physical manifestation of connection. The cereal and the air mattress were born from the exact same design-centric, human-focused philosophy. They weren't selling a commodity, they were selling a feeling of belonging. The deeper meaning of "I am a serial entrepreneur" is this. The path to changing the world isn't a straight line. It's a series of weird, desperate, unscalable, and deeply human experiments. It's about being willing to look foolish. It's about finding the human connection in the most unexpected places. Whether it's an air mattress, on a floor, or a silly box of cereal. This is the ultimate lesson for anyone on a healing journey or a path of career development. There are no excuses. You use what you have. So, the real motivational message from Brian Chesky's story isn't some empty platitude about chasing your dreams. It's about finding peace not in the eventual success, but in the profound, terrifying, and beautiful act of choosing to trust another human being. It's about being grateful for the moments of vulnerability, for the awkward conversations, for the first 3 guests who walk through your door, whatever that door may be in your life. The goal is not to have a perfect life, but to have a life full of perfectly imperfect, authentic connections. That is true wealth. That is the abundance mindset in action. What was your first 3 guests moment? A time when you had to take a leap of faith in another person and it changed everything? Share your story in the comments below. We read every single one. And if this story resonated with you, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear that their craziest idea might just be the one that works. Until next time, stay hard, stay human, and keep listening.